Let's do this. What do you say? Let's look at the first rankings from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, brought to you by Allstate and Tulsa, who is on track to play Cincinnati twice. Now, they meet in a makeup game at the end of the season, but they also are on track to play in the American Conference Championship game. So it might be an opportunity for a couple of good wins for the Bearcats. What do you see here, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm going to look at Tulsa, Reese. That's the big story. I think Cincinnati trying to become the first Group of 5 team to crash the party in the playoff. They need Tulsa to be ranked. They need SMU to be ranked down the line. Cincinnati passes the eye test. They play phenomenal defense. Desmond Ridder has been great throwing the football. They look complete. The issue as a Group of 5, obviously, is the strength of schedule. But seeing Tulsa ranked right here, certainly good news for Cincinnati's resume. And we'll see how this impacts Cincinnati down the road.
Undefeated Marshall, Auburn, Oklahoma State, and Iowa. Iowa's 2 losses have been very close. Their 3 wins have been very impressive. The athletic director at Iowa, Gary Barta, is the new chair of the selection committee, and he will be with us live in just a few minutes. That's 21 through 25. Let's look at this next group. And the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina, undefeated at 8-0, a spot behind Mac Brown's team, who has a big game this weekend. What are you looking for here, Joey?
And there sits USC sitting at 3-0 at number 18. Now, the other key is we don't see Oregon yet. So you assume Oregon is now a top 15 team. When you talk about Pac-12 football, the resumes aren't great. USC, Oregon don't play each other in the regular season, but if both teams continue to win, maybe they both get into that top 15, maybe a top 10 for the Pac-12 championship. The winner might have a shot if they can get high enough to get into the playoff.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see Wisconsin at 2-1. They've lost their toughest game, and I know through no fault of their own, they've only been able to play 3. But Wisconsin sitting at 16, and their game this weekend, I believe, just got postponed as well. Okay, so let's look at 15 through 11, and there are the Ducks of Oregon that Joey referenced, and there is a bit of a surprise that BYU, and I referenced earlier, their schedule certainly doesn't measure up, but we've talked about them a lot. The Cougars, with the eye test, they more than measure up. They only have 1 more game left on the schedule against San Diego State. There is a possibility of adding another one along the line, but BYU much lower than expected, and Iowa State, they're at 6-2 at number 13. Oklahoma and Indiana up at 11 and 12. So that's how it looks, 11 through 15. So let's now get to the top 10. Oklahoma surging after those 2 early losses and the impressive win. At number 10 is Miami, the Hurricanes, sitting in the top 10, David.
Well, I mean, and listen, Miami, you think about their schedule coming up. They're still not technically out of it yet. They're kind of forgotten, hadn't played great football where you think they're, a playoff contender, but they're still very much in the mix at 10.
Just ahead of the Hurricanes at number 9 is Georgia. I think that's a little higher than I expected for the Bulldogs, Kirk.
I'm still blown away. We got BYU down at 14 and Indiana at 12.
Crazy.
BYU AD may want to get on that hotline to Seattle as quick as possible and try. He wanted to see where the rankings are. Well, now you know where you are. You better find any game you can find to climb the ladder. But Georgia, I think that's a little high personally for Georgia at 9.
I think it's very high. I wasn't surprised at all that Indiana was where it was at 12, but Georgia at 9, higher than expected. And we'll have Kalani Sitake, the head coach of BYU, joining us later on in this edition of College Football Playoff Top 25. At number 8, the Northwestern Wildcats at 5-0, and they are right on the verge of clinching the Big Ten West. If they could stay undefeated, I mean, they've got a lot of room to move with a potential showdown with Ohio State.
I think that we were so focused on Wisconsin and where Wisconsin might be if they beat Northwestern, and all Northwestern did was go out and dominate that Wisconsin team and deserves the ranking that I thought they might sneak up even a little bit higher. So that's a great start with the first rankings, and still a lot of work and a lot of wood to chop in front of them.
And a lot of opportunity, and at this stage of the year, isn't that all you really want? And Northwestern has it in front of them. At number 7, the Cincinnati Bearcats. We talked about them at 8-0. Cincinnati has a game against Temple this weekend, and then they'll finish up almost certainly with 2 games against Tulsa, Joey.
And Cincinnati's a team that I personally think is better than number 7. Very good on the defensive side of the football. They run the ball well. They have a top 16 in SMU win on their schedule. They also have an Army win. Now, we always knew they're going to need some help ahead of them. They're sitting at number 7. So if they get help at 7, they can still get there if they run the rest of their schedule.
Okay, so
now we go. Let's go,
have,
kids. Let's go.
We have a couple of ACC teams. We have 3 SEC teams. And you have Ohio State that we've yet to see in what order. But up to this point, Kirk, what struck you about the ranking 7 through 25?
I wonder if the committee is simply looking at the analytics and the efficiency numbers, or have they watched BYU play? Because if you're looking at pieces of paper and you're looking at schedules and looking at analytics, well, most of their analytics will be off the charts because of how dominant they've been, but they're clearly just looking at who they have played. That's the biggest mystery that I have.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.